We will live in the dark, won't see me dying in the light. We will live in the dark.
Them with the words "don't apologize for being white" underneath.
I am upset, I'm disappointed, and I think that's pretty much what you'll hear from any student of color here. I think that we want better, we expect better.
As much as we say that Black Lives Matter, that I, as a student of color, as a woman of color, have every right to be here and exist on this campus as much as the next person, there are still people that refuse to accept that.
What it was like to see. So I was literally like walking to the LBC. I was getting a bagel. I have a test today. I had a pretty rough night last night. So coming this morning was very heavy already. And then I was opening the door and I saw the sign. And as if that like wasn't another confirmation that I needed that I don't belong on this campus. It's just like I've felt it like for the past like year that I have been here, and no one's explicitly said it, and that was the first explicit thing that I have seen that really like told me you shouldn't be here. I struggle with, I think our campus and our society tells us as people of color that it's not okay to be people of color, so to see a confirmation or to see a piece of paper that says it's okay to be white is just, it's not okay to be a person of color, but it's okay to be white, you know, like.
No one cares!
The news at 11 continues with a disturbing story out of Montgomery County. Students found flyers taped up at a high school that say it's okay to be white.
Isn't true.
And now there are some racist online threats connected to them.
Posting a controversial flyer at a Maryland high school. We've been telling you flyers that read, "It's okay to be white," were found earlier this week. News 4's Kristen Wright has that story.
New security camera image from Blair High School shows someone who appears to be putting up "It's okay to be white" flyers around the outside of the school. The person is in a light-colored hoodie pulled over their head, wearing jeans. Staff members found 10 signs outside on the doors.
10 of them?
Yeah, 10. 10 around the building. Blair High School student Will Speaks says he can see right through the so-called message behind signs someone posted on the outside of the building saying it's okay to be white.
Well, I don't think anything's necessarily wrong with saying it's okay to be white, because it's definitely okay to be white. What I'm really concerned that maybe they were trying to build racial tension at the school.
These two students worry the signs could mean trouble.
It looks kind of threatening. I feel upset and I feel angry.
The confusing logic is spelled out on a website making the rounds. It's some kind of call to action to put up "It's okay to be white" flyers to get a big reaction. Blair's principal isn't taking the bait, saying in a letter home, in part, "Montgomery Blair is a very smart, diverse, and inclusive community, and we will not fall victim to attempts to divide us." Will says the signs will only unify him and his friends.
We all kind of think the same in terms of it's okay to be whatever you can be, who you are.
I talked to police. They told me the flyers don't rise to the level of a hate crime, but nonetheless, they did document the incident just in case. And Leon and Doreen, they are working with school officials. Back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Kristen. Here's the lead of an actual Washington Post story. Quote, flyers saying it's okay to be white were found taped to the exterior doors of a Maryland high school Wednesday morning, apparently as part of an effort to spark racial division, unquote. Officials at Montgomery Blair High School in suburban D.C. say they ripped down those signs, called the cops, and are investigating security footage to find the monster who did it. The sentiment, it's okay to be white, is now a hate crime. Okay, so what's the correct position? That it's not okay to be white? Being white, by the way, is not something you can control. Like any ethnicity, you're born with it, which is why you shouldn't attack people for it. And yet the left does constantly, in case you haven't noticed. So who's sowing racial division here? They ought to stop. These things never end well.
Good evening, everyone. Signs many are calling racist are appearing across the country this week.
Some of those signs popped up here in the metro. WDAY6 reporter Angeline McCall joins us live from Concordia with students' reaction and how the administration responded. Angeline?
Dana, Kirsten, students say multiple signs went up across campus saying it's okay to be white. Some of them scattered on the light poles and at least one here at the School of Business. Administration says they're not sure just how many went up or who's behind it.
Social media this week exposing multiple signs across the country at Tulane University, Purdue, and the University of Alberta. This week, also taking roots on Concordia's campus with just 5 words.
In terms of what your initial thoughts are, what do you think?
Okay, so I did hear about what it said. I thought it was really insensitive.
The signs linked to a 4chan online forum laying out a game plan for people to dress up in costume during Halloween, put up the signs, and watch as the media leftists froth at the mouth. Students say the whole plan going against the diversity message here at Concordia.
I was really shocked that someone had the guts to do this, because it's we try to promote diversity so much.
And minority students calling out the metro, saying the community still has a long way to come.
Oh, I just realized how much hate is going on and how we're living in a world without love.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Moshe and all the other students we spoke to say they're glad the signs are now down, removed less than 24 hours after they went up Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Concordia College releasing this statement, quote, the posters did not follow the display policy for placing signage on the campus and were taken down. Despite the evidence being gone, students say the motivation behind the message is still present.
I grow up and be human. That's all I'm going to say.
Just 5 words, students say, mean so much more.
Now, in that statement released by Concordia, President Kraft says he's trying to create some type of open forum for students to talk about this more. Reporting live in Moorhead, Angela McCall, WDAY 6 News.
Just evil motivation.
The sentiment, it's okay to be white, is now a hate crime.
Flyers taped up at a high school that say it's okay to be white.
Okay, so what's the correct position? That it's not okay to be white?
Or to see a piece of paper that says it's okay to be white.
It's okay to be white. A special operation by 4chan to red pill the normies and bait the mainstream media and the far left into revealing their anti-white sentiments and the racism of the far left. This little internet meme turned into such a big political campaign quickly. It overtook the United States, spread into European countries and foreign nations as we know it. So how did It's Okay to Be White, also known as IOTBW, experience so much success? Into revealing the deeply anti-white sentiment in modern society, with so many news outlets and so many people on social media completely taking the bait. Well, it's quite simple. It's Okay to Be White was a brilliant example of the power of concentrated autism and the bias of the mainstream media and the far left in this country. Look, for example, at this news piece going over the It's Okay to Be White campaign.
The news at 11 continues with a disturbing story out of Montgomery County. Students found flyers taped up at a high school that say it's okay to be white.
Here's what's going on. Yesterday, these flyers were posted to at least 2 different locations, the University of Maryland and Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring. The high school even caught the poster on surveillance video. When I asked the school spokesperson what was going on, he sent me a web link to an older post that shows this was planned. The page even says what to write. Oh, and the post also says this: "We expect the anti-white media to produce a storm about these racist, hateful, bigoted flyers with a completely innocuous message." Well, this did upset a University of Maryland student who tweeted the flyer with her own message.
Racist flyers? See, according to the media, saying that it's okay to be white is racism. And it's not just the media. This is the narrative of the far left in this country and around the world. The regressive left and regressive ideologies that so permeate our modern society are being revealed to normies everywhere. The most hilarious thing about the media coverage of the It's Okay to Be White campaign is this: even with the entire plan spelled out to them, even when told that this was to trigger SJWs, trigger snowflakes, and trigger the media and the far left, they can't help but take the bait. As soon as people protest to these flyers, as soon as they start ripping down these papers, as soon as they attack, they reveal the anti-white racists that they really are. Because by calling these flyers racist, you're admitting that you are anti-white. And that, my friends, is the brilliance of this message.
The recent It's Okay to Be White campaign, geniusly developed by 4chan's one true board of peace, to catch people who hold such contempt for white people in a trap of their own creation by forcing them, these people who are so concerned with care and fairness, who are so concerned with being racist, unjust, or prejudiced, who are so concerned with being liked by minorities, to admit that there is one group that they just outright hate: white people, generally speaking, themselves. The campaign was simple. Just go around and post flyers that state simply, "Hey, it's okay to be white." All according to Keikaku, the media and brain-dead college undergrads responded to the ire and vitriol at these symbols of white hate, all while strangely being incapable of explaining why it's not okay to be white. After all, to say it's not okay to be white would be pretty racist. That would be like saying it's not okay to be black, would it not? Even to the most indoctrinated observer, this seems absurd, yeah? And that flies in the face of everything leftists claim to hold sacred. I mean, one of the reasons I find this so funny is because at least conservatives and right-wing racists don't lie and pretend to not be racist. Meanwhile, left-wing racists seemingly fear the admittance of their own racism more than anything. Well then, what about the Trinity College sociology professor Johnny Eric Williams, who said in response to the shooting of Steve Scalise this summer, quote, "If you see them drowning, if you see them in a burning building, if they are bleeding out in an emergency room, if the ground is crumbling beneath them, do nothing, let them fucking die, and smile a bit when you do." Yeah, that's a sociology professor, and that's just one prominent example. One needs only go to Twitter for a few minutes to find countless tweets demanding whites step aside or outright die and give black people or other minorities a turn. It's their turn. Gee, where have I heard that before? With the presumption that blacks and whites are somehow not equal under law, and that in order to make them equal, whites just need to fucking stop existing. But, for fuck's sake, we are equal under the law. If you want to argue about differences in communities and environments, we could certainly do that. I don't think you're going to win the argument, but we could have that discussion. It is without question, however, that all people are legally equal in the United States.
So, what makes this campaign so effective? The reactions from journalists and school officials are helpful, of course. They reveal that the media and educational institutions are home to insidious anti-white sentiments. These people with institutional power, journalists, university presidents, etc., they truly believe that saying it's okay to be white is racist and hateful. Now, this is enough to red pill quite a few people on how these powerful institutions really feel about them. But that's not all. The reaction from people across the country really reveals how deep-seated this anti-white bias is in American mainstream culture. David Adana writes on Twitter, quote, "No, it's not okay to be white. White people are genetically racist," end quote. I don't know about you, fam, but it strikes me as pretty weird that it's okay to say white people are genetically racist, but if you imply that intelligence is in any way genetic, you're all of a sudden a massive racist bigot. Chaplain Lives writes, quote, "It's okay to be white is really just pathetically poor code for, quote, it's okay to be a racist, not fooling anybody." Jess, a proud student at Tulane University, jumped in with this hot take. Quote, "Whomst the F is putting 'it's okay to be white' signs all over campus. First of all, it's not," end quote. According to Jess and the hundreds of people that retweeted her, it is not okay to be a white person. This is the same person that described whites as, quote, "crusty," said she wanted a way to blacklist white people, tweeted that white people are responsible for everything, described white people as dumb as F, and tweeted that she hates white boys. Are you starting to see why maybe, just maybe, white people are starting to push back against this cultural narrative that we are responsible for everything bad and evil in the world? Are you starting to see why white people are increasingly saying, yeah, you know what, it's okay to be white, and I don't have to feel bad about it? But for now, remember, this flyer campaign terrifies the establishment, because if white people stop hating themselves, the entire anti-white narrative falls apart. Nobody should feel ashamed or hated because of their race. And that is why it is absolutely okay to be white.
We will live in the dark. Won't see me dying in the light. We will live in the dark.
I'ma stop.